Welcome to Panels and Borders. I'm Dominic, and I wanted to talk about creating diverse characters, character design, designing diverse characters, because diversity is the big thing in comic books now, especially with Marvel. That's all you hear out of them is diversity, 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 to the point where the phrase is completely worn out, and it is just like that song that plays on the radio over and over and over again. You can't stand to hear it after a while. So, but I decided to talk about it here, and I want to talk about specifically two characters that I created, and why I think you should create a diverse character, and the reasons why you should create them, and the reasons why you shouldn't create them. So I'm going to give the first example, and here's one way that you can, one reason why you should create a diverse character. Now, just a disclaimer, I'm by no means a professional comic writer or artist. I've written a few comics on the side just for shits and giggles, and I had one story published. But I've read a lot of comic books, and read a lot of books about creating comics and about writing, and watched a lot of videos on the subject. So I'll just give my opinion on it, and you can take from this video whatever you take from this video what you will. So the first reason is do it because you have a good idea that serves your story. Now, I think this is the big mistake a lot of people in the industry make now with their diverse characters. They have no story behind that character. They just are making diverse characters for the sake of making diverse characters. And it doesn't really serve the story. So I'm going to give the first example here is a character I created called Desert Wolf. Now, I had an idea for this character, and for like a Native American character, because I always really liked the character of Warpath, Thunderbird, and then the other character, Turok the Dinosaur Hunter. So I actually wanted to create a character like that. The character's been done like quite a few times, and it is a stereotypical. It is a stereotype, but it is a stereotype that I really like. So I was thinking, well, how can I make this character somehow different? So I said, okay, so I came up with the idea, okay, I'm going to make the stereotypical Native American character African American. I'm going to make him a black guy. That's how I'm going to make it different. So I came up with this character, Desert Wolf. So this is the first sketch I drew of him. I drew this sketch a few years back. So I came up with a rough idea for the costume and then quickly plotted out an origin. So the origin of the character goes like this. Avery Lofton was orphaned at 12 when his parents were killed in a hit-and-run. Finding out his mother was part Navajo, he was taken by his grandfather and raised by the Navajo in Arizona. After witnessing his girlfriend's death at the hands of a skinwalker and himself barely escaping, he wandered through the desert and fell dying from blood loss. In what seemed like a dream, the spirits of the earth appeared to him. They revived him, giving him superpowers, able to run at extended periods of 69 kilometers per hour, over 5 times stronger than a normal human, also enhanced hearing and smell. Now he has taken the alter ego of Desert Wolf, protecting the Navajo from the evil of the Skinwalkers. So that's his origin that I quickly came up with, and some of his powers. And then, so this was the first drawing I did, and I kind of gave me a rough idea what I wanted, but there was things I didn't like about it, so I redesigned them a bit. And this is what I came up for the second redesign. Kind of made the costume more earth tone colors, made the emblem across his chest bigger, and changed the headgear into like an actual wolf's head that he wears, and then a black mask to cover his eyes. And so here's another pencil sketch I did. I just shaded in with him with his weapons out, and I put more detailing, changed the symbol on his chest again to give it more of like a wolf's head feel with fangs and stuff, and he's taking an arrow in the leg here. And then I just shaded this one with pencil. And then here's probably the most recent one I did of him just like in an action running pose, and I looked up like Navajo designs so I can incorporate like Navajo designs in his actual costume and stuff like that. And so the whole setting for this character, I came up with the whole setting for this character because I used to listen to a lot of paranormal talk shows, and one subject that came up over and over again was the Navajo Nation. in Arizona. And Arizona seems to have like a lot of paranormal activity. That's where they had the Phoenix Lights, and there was a lot of skinwalker legends in the Navajo Nation. Now skinwalkers are almost like a shape-shifting demon, and they have legends of interdimensional vortexes around Arizona, in the Navajo Nation. There's even legends of pterodactyls, and then there's legends of UFOs, and it just goes on and on and on. So it made for a really interesting setting. So I said, well, this would be a cool setting to have a superhero set in this, and the superhero in this setting would be battling all this weird paranormal crap that's going on. And he would basically be protecting the Navajo from this, and from all this stuff. So you could have these like X-File type adventures going on in this comic. So that's how I came up with the whole idea. So that's the whole idea for the comic. And so I had a good idea, a really good idea for a character. And then you could do stories that aren't bogged down with political baggage and all that. And the other interesting idea is you could come up with an interesting background, because you have this black kid who was basically raised in LA up till the age of 12. So he's raised in the big city, and he's grown up with this hip-hop culture and all this kind of thing. Then his parents die, and he's pulled out of that setting, taken by his Navajo grandfather, and brought to the Navajo Nation, where now he's on a native reserve in a completely different environment. And he's going to be a minority inside of a minority in a minority kind of thing. So how would that be for a kid like that, and what kind of experiences would he have? So you could make like an interesting background. So that's where you would have like some interesting stories. So now the second way, the second reason, or the second way you can do it is this is the second way I've created a diverse character. And it should be the least important thing and not the most. So a lot of these characters at Marvel and stuff, they make these diverse characters, but the skin color or the sexual orientation is the most important thing. That's the main thing they push, and it never works, because then the character's just like, the character's character is he's gay, or the character's character is they're a woman, or they're black, or whatever. But then the characters come really shallow, and the stories aren't very good, and then when it doesn't sell or fans don't like it, then it turns around, then the company calls the fans bigots and all this kind of stuff for not liking it. So it's just like this vicious circle. So this is where I think these creators are hurting their own cause, because now if a diverse character pops up, and if the character is going to be really good, fans are wary. They're like, oh, I don't know, is this going to be another SJW thing? So that's why it should be, you should have like a really good story first. So here's a story that I wrote and drew a few years back, and this is called Lover's Blood. And so basically it's a werewolf story. And how I came up with the whole story was basically I had a bad dream about being chased by a Wendigo. Now, a Wendigo is a Native American demon that basically possesses people and causes them to become cannibals, and basically to murder and cannibalize everyone around them. So I was being chased by one of these things, being chased through like a snow-capped forest in the mountains, and barred myself in a cabin. And then in the dream, I kind of realized I was dreaming. So then I kind of was able to take control of the dream a bit, went back out, faced this Wendigo, and turned into a werewolf, and then battled it, and woke up after that. So when I woke up, I realized, holy cow, this would be a cool comic. So I wrote the story, and so basically the story was that this guy had this werewolf problem that he was trying to control. So basically, to protect everyone around him, him and his wife went to this cabin. Now his wife came with him, even though he was kind of against it, but she wanted to be at his side nonetheless. And so while they're in this area, they're visited by a stranger who tells them they have to leave because there's a lot of murders going on, and they got to get out of the area. And basically what happens, as soon as he warns them about it, he himself gets killed off by this strange, weird-looking creature, which is a Wendigo. And so then they're caught in this cabin with this thing outside that's going to kill them, and the only way is he has to change into a werewolf. But every time he turns into the werewolf, he has less control over the werewolf entity. And so then he decides, well, the only way they can live is basically he has to turn into a werewolf. So he transforms into the werewolf against his better judgment, and then he squares off against the Wendigo, and they do battle, and he ends up killing the Wendigo. So I came up with this whole story, wrote the story. It's only about 10 pages, 10, 11 page story. But at the very last minute before I was going to draw it, I decided to, just on a whim, the characters were both going to be white, but just on a whim, I said, I'm going to make the characters black. So that's how I did it, just out of whim. So everything else came first. Story, character, setting, everything came first. Then the skin color came last. So this is how I think you should do it if you're going to create a diverse character. This is how I think diversity should be done. And if it's done this way, then it works. But there seems to be like a lot of the creators now are doing it only to win social brownie points, and I think that's wrong. I think you actually hurt your own cause if I'm going to make this diverse character, then I'm going to go pat myself on the back because I'm such a good person. And it comes off as very shallow and dishonest. And fans pick up on that. And then the stories reflect that because the stories aren't good. And then it actually hurts their own cause. So that's my whole opinion on that. So that's everything I got to say about the subject in this video. Let me know what you think in the comments section about this whole subject, and I will see you at the next one. Thank you to all of my subscribers, and thank you for watching this video. And if you're new to the channel, like, subscribe, and share. And don't forget to hit the bell icon for notification when new videos are uploaded.